The original script for Dream Warriors was written by Wes Craven, but the studio had around 70% of it rewritten because it was too dark. Mostly because it revolved around teenage suicide, and it even had one scene where Nancy's father cut his own eyelids off in front of her. And on top of all that, the studio New Line Cinema had all the African American characters switched to Caucasian characters. I don't know why they did that, but it's typical Hollywood, so I can't say I'm surprised. Today we're looking at the NECA Retro Cloth Freddy Krueger, and this Freddy Krueger is from the film A Nightmare on Elm Street Part 3 Dream Warriors. So first off, looking at the packaging, we have Freddy himself over here, and we can see his accessories, which are his fedora and the souls that are part of his body. And over here we have this awesome artwork of Freddy Krueger, and these artwork pieces come with all these retro cloth figures, which is really cool. Over here it says ages 17 and up. We have the NECA logo, the Real Toys logo, and that's pretty much it. So we'll take a look at the back once we open the figure. So let's get our Freddy gloves and slash this thing open. Here's a better look at the Freddy Krueger artwork, and this is something I would definitely hang on my wall. All these artwork pieces that come with the NECA Retrocloth figures are amazing. Here's a look at the back with the logo at the top and the picture of Freddy Krueger on the left side. I really like the brick wall, the chain, and the furnace that's in the background of the Freddy figure. I really wish that would be an accessory that NECA would release in the future. Right here it says pull up Freddy sweater to reveal chest of souls, and this is what it's supposed to look like. Here's a read up of the movie itself, so you could pause it now if you want to read the whole thing. But I just want to say that the original darker script by Wes Craven made more sense why all the kids were at the psychiatric ward, and also Nancy was not a dream researcher. So Freddy comes with two accessories. The first one is this chest piece of souls. Taking a closer look, you can see the sculpting is amazing. The melted skin looks like melted cheese pizza, which is where Wes Craven based the melted skin on Freddy's face on. And if you look closer, the sculpting of the faces looks great. And if you look even closer than that, in the little eyes, you can see that they actually added some black paint. And if you look at the teeth, they added some black and yellow paint. So there's a lot of detail here. And across the whole piece, there's speckles of black and different shades of pink and I guess light brown. So there's a lot of paint in this piece. So this is the best that I could get it because of the joints being a bit weak and articulation not being so great. But I'm sure if I stayed at it for a few more minutes, I could get it to look a bit better, because the longer I stayed doing the stretching and the manipulating, the better it looks. But it's a pretty poor design, but it looks decent, I guess, if you stay at it and do your best. The second accessory that Freddy comes with is his old beat up fedora, and if we look closely, there's some paint amongst the sculpting, so it looks really nice. It really makes it look old and worn. See the paint, all the scratches, the dents, this piece right here. The fedora looks amazing, and here's the inside, and it actually fits really tightly because of these metal sculpting parts. So when you push it onto his head, it sits there very tight. There's no way that it'll fall off, as you can see here. So this is a really good fedora accessory. I really like it. Taking a closer look at the head sculpt, it looks amazing. I love how the melted skin looks like and all those sores. It looks so realistic. It looks so good. I love how the eyes are set to the side, so no matter how you pose it, it looks like he has some personality to his face because of those eyes. And the teeth, there's some black paint and yellowish paint in those nasty teeth. And you can see the sculpting keeps going to the ear, it's like chipped off. And then the back of the head and the top of the head. This is amazing sculpting, I love it. And it still goes down to his neck, but it doesn't go down to the rest of his body, as you can see here, since they use a generic body for these figures. And of course under the sleeves also it's a generic body, as you can see here. So besides the neck and the head, and actually this hand too, it's sculpted, but besides that it's a generic piece. That's how they save money to make these, but it still looks pretty good. And looking at the blades, They're a little warped, but they're not too bad. I've seen some blades that are warped really badly, and yeah, mine isn't that bad. And I really like the little details with the black paint. If you can see in the palm, there's some black dirt in there. Looks nasty. On the fingers, there's some black paint there too. On the blades, they also use that black paint amongst the silver. And then you have the brown and black on the glove, the leather worn glove, and the metal pieces. There's some like burgundy in there. They really used paint to its maximum potential with this figure. Now looking at the sweater, I really love the sweater because with some of these retro cloth Freddys, the sweaters are so bulky and big, it looks nasty, it looks so stupid. But with this one, I really like it because it's very snug on the sleeves. The chest and the centerpiece part, it feels pretty snug, I guess. But I think they left some space because of the accessory chest piece. But so far, besides the chest part, everything seems pretty nice and snug. Like, this doesn't seem out of place like other Freddy sweaters do on the other NECA retro cloth figures. So I think this might be the best one because the sweater is pretty tight and it's not loose like the other ones. So I'm pretty impressed with this sweater. I also really like the tears at the bottom of the sweater. You can see the fibers just sticking out. Also at the end of the sleeves. That looks really good. I really love that. You could actually manipulate these yourself and pull them yourself and add more or make it a bit neater, whatever you prefer. I kind of like it like this. It's right in the middle. There's not too many sticking out, but it's not that neat either. Now looking at the jeans or pants, they look like regular pants, but NECA once again took the extra step and they added brown paint, so they look very dusty and dirty. They look like he hasn't washed these jeans in a long time. You can see a streak right there. Yeah, they look very dusty with that brown paint. I really love that small detail that they added. NECA is really good at those small little details that other figure companies would just overlook. But I really love that NECA does this. Next up, we're looking at the boots, and if you look closely, they look very beat up and scuffed up. You can see all the dents on the side. They look really worn out. I really like that. It looks so good. And of course, since these are NECA retro cloth, they don't go all the way up. The rest is just generic leg. But that's fine. The boots are very nicely sculpted, and that's all you really need since you won't be pulling the pants up for any reason. So now looking at the articulation, let's take his head off. The head is on a ball joint. It's a bit stiff and it's kind of loose at the same time, so that's a little weird. These NECA retro cloth joints, they're pretty loose overall, so I'm gonna be a little careful with it. So at the shoulder, he moves up, down, and he goes side to side. Of course, there's a bend at the elbow. Of course, there's a swivel at the wrist. Exactly the same on the other side. And then there's a twist at the waist, and it kicks forward and kicks back that much. There's a bend at the knee. Pretty bad, the bend at the knee actually. And I think the only really bad joints that these figures have are at the feet. They only bend up and down. So when you set them down to stand, let me fix the camera, they're really not having their feet planted flatly on the floor. If you can see that, they're a bit like, they're just off. So you can't really stand them right, especially since the joints are a bit loose. You just gotta get lucky, or you just need to buy one of the NECA dynamic stands. So yeah, the ankle should have a pivot. That's the only articulation that these figures really need. Here's Freddy Krueger in comparison with two other NECA retro cloth figures. One that's shorter, which is Chucky, and another that's taller, which is Leatherface in his beautiful woman attire. And they look really nice. They look like they're pretty good in scale. Chucky might be a little too tall, and maybe Leatherface could be taller. Actually, Leatherface and Freddy look like they could be at the right size. Maybe Freddy should be shorter, and also Chucky. But either way, I think the scale is pretty spot on. There might be a few little tweaks that they should have made, but it doesn't really matter. Once you have them on a shelf together, they look amazing. So overall, I really love the figure from a design standpoint. I really love the sculpting and I love the cloth pieces, but everything else besides that is pretty bad. The articulation is terrible, the joints are very loose, this chest piece is pretty much worthless. I really like the hat though, it does fit in tightly there, it will never fall off. But everything else sucks, like he doesn't even stand straight, you need a dynamic NECA stand to hold him upright. So besides that, it is a great figure in terms of sculpting. So this is like having a statue if you get the dynamic stand. It's like having a really good statue with the cloth pieces. So I do love it for that, it just everything else kinda sucks. So it depends on how you like your figures. If you just want a statue with cloth pieces, this is a really great figure. So what do you guys think of this Freddy figure? Do you like the sculpting and the cloth pieces? Do you like the articulation and the quality that NECA gave us? And what do you think of the film that it's based off of, Dream Warriors? Let me know in the comments if you want, and thanks for watching.